Yo, what up? It's CJ here for Black Men in America, and we are here with an emergency sports update.
Absolutely.
Emergency, code red. John
It's a
Wall has been
pandemic.
traded.
I'm telling you, bro. I thought my phone was gonna explode. It got warm, it got hot. But then I realized that was my heart getting warm and hot because my blood was rushing because I couldn't believe that we really did this. It really
So
happened, bro.
it happened. Yeah, the rumors have been going on for weeks that the Wizards and the Rockets were talking about a Russell Westbrook John Wall swap, and where there was smoke, there was fire. So I've already dropped my article and did my grades, and we can get back to that. But what are your thoughts as a lifelong die-hard childhood Wizards fan, and
Yes.
kind of give people who aren't from DC a snippet of what John Wall means to us and why he is so important and why he's so beloved in our city.
That's the thing, man. It's like John Wall to the regular NBA community and like the normal nationwide basketball community. John Wall is just another guard on the Eastern Conference team that isn't Kyrie apparently. So like that's basically how they look at John Wall for the most part. But here in DC, John Wall is a beloved figure. Like there's a whole thing with the whole Rose Bar Jimmy and him being at Rose Bar and Stephen A. put it out there into the open. And I feel like Stephen A. is more mad that he was at Rose Bar than we were. Cause it didn't bother us that he was at Rose Bar. We thought it was dope. Like it made him one of us. Like it was like I said in my Instagram post about it, man. Like it's bigger than basketball. Like we could talk about, we'll get into, of course, like who wins this trade, like basketball wise. But like my heart hurt because of this, man. Like we've been through so much with John Wall. Like we were there when his mother first got sick, and we were there when she passed, and we were there for his friend Maya, the little girl that passed away from cancer, and he ended up getting a wig from Nicki Minaj for her. That was one of her dying wishes. And for him to go out and he hooped and in the game after she passed and dedicated it to her, one in a double overtime game was real tear jerking. And John Wall has a lot of those things that people love about Russell Westbrook. Like he isn't as crazy and demonstrative on the court, but he's one of those guys that give off that dog mentality, that that no back down mentality, and that really represents everything that we stand for here in DC. And he's been in the community, like he's been knee deep in the community. And to end it, I'll just say I can't think of any other athlete in DC history that has made themselves more accessible, been engaged more with the community, and really just embraced being a part of not just only being part of the team, but being part of the culture of an area that they work in, for 82 games a year plus. So, seeing John Wall go hurt, it was a thing that it felt like it was inevitable. It was more of like whenever it was going to happen, people felt like it should have happened a few years ago. But for Wizards fans, no matter who we got, this was going to hurt a little bit.
Absolutely. That's trying to explain to people who aren't from the DMV that there are two angles to this trade. Like before we dive into basketball, the basketball angle of it. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to lead with that and touch, because I think that's been lost a little bit outside of the out of the district. They're talking about how easily the Wizards won this trade overwhelmingly. Like I mean, let's
Did they? Did they
yeah,
really?
it's like, I mean, on the court maybe, but off the court, like I said, John Wall, you're ripping a staple out of the community. Honestly, like
Yeah,
he's
man.
really beloved, and
Seriously.
I'm glad you touched on that. His mindset, you know what I'm saying? People, John Wall is also a winner. If you look at the
Yeah.
players and that they put around him, for him to
Come on,
even
man.
sniff a 49 win season, for him to do some of the things he did before Bradley Beal was the Bradley Beal we know now, while Bradley
Mm-hmm.
Beal was still developing
Yeah,
and
people
getting
got to
better.
remember Bradley wasn't always the Bradley that we know
Yeah.
now.
So people got
So
to
yeah.
understand that John Wall was carrying this thing while Brad was learning and developing. And
Mm-hmm.
ever since Gilbert Arenas era, like he's been the face of
Yeah.
the franchise.
He was carrying it while also learning and developing.
Facts.
So yeah, man. This
And
was
like I said,
painful.
there are two players. This is a weird trade for me specifically because I grew up in DC. I have lots of love for the Wizards in the hometown, but I also was a Supersonics fan growing up. So I love
Mm-hmm.
OKC. And I grew up, so seeing Westbrook and John Wall swap for each other was probably the weirdest trade, the weirdest
Absolutely.
internal mix of feelings I've ever had about a trade.
I'm thinking, how does Russell Westbrook get here before KD?
Yeah, the irony that we got Scott Brooks to get KD
We
and
got
ended up
Scott
getting
Brooks to
Westbrook
get KD,
instead.
ended up getting Westbrook. Ain't that crazy? That's why I didn't even think about that. Dang.
Like, think about this. Like 2, 3 years ago, this would have been people's heads would have exploded when they see this.
Oh,
Like,
this would have been amazing. Even for
But
both sides, like even with John Wall, like even being like a homer and like trading for Russell Westbrook 2 or 3 years ago, like it wouldn't have hurt that as bad because it's been more time. The longer you're in a relationship, the harder it is when you break up. So.
and it does feel kind of like a breakup, but an amicable breakup. And John Wall's been hurt.
Yeah,
There's a part of I think I've seen a sentiment in the city that is happy to see him get a fresh start. In a
yeah.
new place. So, but let's move to the basketball aspect of it too, because I
Hmm.
think John Wall is also disrespected there too, because people are looking at the numbers specifically. They're
Absolutely.
just saying, "Oh, he's 21, and he's a 20-10 guy. Westbrook's 27, and it ain't about just the numbers. John Wall
Mm-mm.
is an incredible defender, as you said. He brings a
Absolutely.
mindset and a mentality to him that doesn't show up on paper. You know what I'm saying? That
Right.
doesn't show up in the stat sheet, like in a similar way, as you said, to Russell Westbrook. Like there is
Hmm.
some intangibles that they bring that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So
Hmm.
I think people are sleeping on what a healthy John Wall could mean, in
Yeah.
Houston. Like that's not a complete, people are saying it's a complete mystery, but we've seen what John Wall looks like when he's healthy. That ain't
I'm like,
mysterious.
bruh, last time seen on the court, what, John, he had like 40 something points in the game. Like, so like this notion that John Wall can't hoop is crazy. Just like if you just want to go off, he's been injured the last 2 years, so that makes him. I don't know if that makes him trash. I just think that makes him injury prone. But like this whole notion that John Wall is so much of a lesser player than Russell Westbrook, like you said, like I understand people love Russell Westbrook because of the stats, and I love Russell Westbrook too. And I think he is a great player and arguably better than John Wall. But I can make a very strong argument for John Wall being better than Russell Westbrook, especially depending on what team that they're on.
Yeah,
Their teammates
it's
and
not
whatnot.
as far off as people think. That's what I'm saying. So, but from a basketball
Yeah.
perspective, who do you think won the trade?
From a basketball perspective, and this is we can only go off of what we know. And I'm assuming that both players are healthy. Both players healthy, this is a win-win if both players are healthy. But because like I have issues with Westbrook's health as well. Because Westbrook last seen on the court was recovering from a knee injury.
Recovering from
He
a
came into
shoulder
the bubble,
injury
he
too.
caught COVID. You know, he showed an injury too. And as much as they say John Wall is injury prone, Russell Westbrook will play the season. But like I said, Russell Westbrook wasn't great last time on the court. So I'm just not sure what Westbrook we're gonna get. And I guess that's the same thing we get with John Wall. We don't know what we're gonna get. If John Wall comes back and he's as good as he was when he left, then both teams win this trade.
Yeah, that's why I gave both teams an A. I think this is one of the rare win-wins because Houston, look, if Westbrook requested a trade, then you don't have much of a choice to move him. And with his contract, you don't have many options. So
Yeah,
whoever would take that contract and you got a first round pick back and you got possibly John Wall as a replacement, I
yeah,
think that's a hell of a win for Houston. If they're going to rebuild, they got the pick back. They got John Wall for 3 years to transition. If they can if something goes great, if Harden wants to still play with John Wall and Boogie and Christian Wood, because the Rockets had a sneaky good offseason, honestly.
yeah,
So if they make some noise and they can convince Harden to stay, that's a great move for Houston. You get something because Westbrook wasn't working. So you can't just go with what doesn't work. And for the Wizards, I think it's a great move for the Wizards, honestly, because we've seen
mhm.
how far the team can get with Wall and Beal. We haven't seen this Beal and this Wall, but at the
And I
same
guess that's
time,
part of the reason that we're so hurt, man. Is like we didn't get to see Prime Beal and Prime Wall play together. And they're like, you're just gonna throw out Wall and Beal there again. I'm like, yes, we've been waiting for this one. This is the one that we wanted to throw out there. Like we've been building for years to throw out this version of Wall and Beal, and that's why we're so hurt. It's like because I told you at the beginning of the season, we've been talking about this John Wall trade, breaking up this thing for a long time, and I always said, I'm like, bro, this is the last year. They both coming in healthy. Brad is a dog. John is back. It's time. It's go time. If it doesn't work now, then whatever happens after that. But we
I don't know. The
will.
more
The
I think
world
about
may
it,
never
though, the
know.
more I'm a fan of getting ahead of it, though, because like
You
best
always
case
a fan of being
scenario,
ahead of it, but
best case
I'm
scenario, like
emotionally attached. Okay, it's different.
that's why
I
I did
wanted
the
it to be
emotional
John.
stuff first, and I wanted to move to the basketball stuff second.
Okay,
So I
all
wanted to
right,
get the
okay.
emotional baggage. I was like, go ahead and light a candle over your Rose Bar jersey, like
Oh Lord.
You know what I'm saying? But we're
Bro,
looking at it from a
God,
basketball perspective. And if I'm looking at it from a basketball perspective, I actually low key love the move more and more for the Wizards the more I think about it, honestly,
mm-hmm.
because Russ is everything John Wall pretty much was, except I think John Wall might have been a little better defender more consistently. But Russ,
Yeah,
they both are poor 3-point shooters. They're both, not poor, but for superstars who jack up that many shots, they both shoot around 31, 32, 33%. Not good enough. So
yeah,
you're not losing any more shooting, basically, but you're gaining more rebounding. You're gaining more tempo. You're gaining somebody with more shore health. You know what I'm saying? You're gaining.
mm-hmm.
And something the Wizards have kind of had is the same thing that Houston has had, kind of that lax mentality. The reason Westbrook left, reportedly, one of the reasons is because they don't value winning and going hard as much as Houston is as he does. He's obsessed with it like a maniac, and Harden, and they're there to style and get money. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And I think his mentality is really going to serve the Wizards well. The Wizards, a team that was not focused on the defensive end, a team that was not playing with the intensity they needed. I think Westbrook is going to give maybe players like Troy Brown, Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant. He's going to bring out the best in guys like that. Davis Bertans is going to have more open threes than he's ever had. And Bradley won't have to work as hard for what he's doing. Like, he worked hard for every bit of them 30 points per game he got last year because of the supporting cast he had
yeah,
around him.
he did.
Think about the weight that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be lifted off him with Westbrook collapsing defenses. Bradley doesn't have to make 3, 4, 5 moves to get to the bucket. He could catch and shoot, which he is just as comfortable, way more comfortable doing than it seems like Harden. So I think the fit is actually really, really good. And you remember the last couple stars that played next to Westbrook, they flourished. Paul
Yeah,
George,
absolutely.
Victor
Say what you
Oladipo
want
took the
about
next step.
Westbrook, man. He's got this reputation for being a bad teammate. I'm like, bro, KD won MVP playing next to this guy. Paul George had the best season of his career, was a top 3 MVP candidate playing next to this guy. So, you can say what you want about his decision making, but being a bad teammate and saying that players can't play with him,
I'll take it even further because I'm
that's
an
just not
OKC
true.
fan. I've watched some terrible games like Enes Kanter. He has taken players like Enes Kanter and
Yeah,
players
man.
who had never sniffed being average and never have since they've been on his team to make them. He got Enes Kanter
Yeah.
paid. This man,
Yeah.
and this man
That's the
can't
thing
play
with John.
defense. His
That's the
feet are
John Wall
cement
effect
blocks.
too, man. That's the thing too. Like John Wall has gotten so many people paid too. Like
Yeah, look at what he did for
that's what makes
Gortat.
this things. Yeah, look at what he did for Otto Porter. Look what he did for. He's gotten endless people. Trevor Ariza, Trevor Ariza earned his bag, but like at that time, Trevor Ariza was looking like he was on the outs. But you play with John Wall, you lead the league in 3-point percentage. That's usually what
Outside of
happens.
Bradley Beal, John Wall's best teammate is probably Gortat. If Bradley Beal did the interview
Yeah,
on JJ Redick's show and said it was either Gortat or Nene was his
and
best
that's
teammate
sad.
he's ever had on the Wizards other than John Wall. Do you know how pathetic that is? No offense
Yeah,
to
that's
Gortat
sad,
and
bro.
Nene, because Nene was nice as hell, in his prime when he was healthy.
I
And
like Nate,
Gortat
and I
has
like
some.
Gortat too.
Yeah, I love the Polish Hammer. I've
Yeah,
defended Gortat
yeah,
profusely since I've been in DC. So like I
same.
love Gortat, but at the same time, like Gortat's
It's
never
levels.
sniffed an
It's
all-star
levels
game
to
in
this,
his
bro.
life.
It's levels to this, bro. Like we
Yeah.
trying to win. Like, are we trying to win or are we trying to win? Like, you know what
Otto
I'm saying? Like,
Porter got one of the worst contracts I've ever seen. He's a non-impact role player that got $100 million for
mm-hmm.
1 year of good 3-point shooting. Like
Yeah, man. He was letting it fly.
he
I
should have
give it
got
to him.
something closer to the Davis Bertans contract because that's basically all. And Davis is better shooter than he is.
Absolutely.
So Davis got 80. I would have been comfortable.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I'm comfortable with Davis's contract. Cause like 80 million, the way he was stroking that thing.
I wasn't, bro. People talking about that. I was like, I'm not mad at this. That's how a white man shoots the basketball. He throws, bro. He's shooting. What Kendrick Perkins say today? He said he got a ratchet on him.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that. Yeah,
He got a
Bertans
ratchet on him for real.
and like I said again, like I'm really looking at the future pieces too. I think Westbrook is really going to help the development of Rui and now Denny Avdia. They've got 2 young studs now on that roster that, despite maybe being in a more of a win now, playoff now mode, those are 2 really good pieces. I mean, I didn't do my draft breakdown, I didn't post it on Black Men, but like I am very high on Denny Avdia. I think he was one of my favorite players in this draft. I think they got lucky that he slipped that far, even though it wasn't a huge positional need for them. I think it was a great pick. Denny Avdia has a little Luka. Don't get me like I don't think he's gonna be Luka. He ain't gonna be dropping no 45, 10, and 10 type stuff. But I'm talking about his European skill set and being such a decorated young international player who's had the experience of playing against grown ass men at this age and also has such a polished skill set. Usually the top prospects like Denny, there's nothing he does bad. and
Mhm.
it's a great ceiling. They have some young talent. Like the Wizards have something to be excited about.
You know what I always say about foreign players, bro? I got to see you do it against black men in America. Okay.
Yes, that's the PG version of the quote that you always need me to use.
Yes, I
Yes,
gotta
and
see
I
you
agree
do
with
it.
that. I mean, because
Yeah.
it is a different game. The European game is a different game, but as we've
Mhm.
seen with Luca and some of the more recent international prospects, if we move away from the Nikolos
Mhm.
Skidishvilis and Jan Veselis and we get more of the Luka Doncic's of the world, like the EuroLeague
Mhm.
is caught up very close to what the NBA is. Like the EuroLeague is a
Yeah.
very tough league. So not all the
Oh,
other
bro. I mean,
leagues. I
that's the thing.
mean,
Like, like European players, I always say, because European players always come along, always come over, and they're always
I lost the connection.
that's it, basically. Still there?
Yeah, I think I lost you for a second,
Oh,
but
okay.
we back. We back.
Anyway, like I said, yeah. Yeah, players are usually more skilled when they get over here, but more skill doesn't always mean better. So I got to see you do it, get it in against black men
Well,
in America.
again, it's about player development too, and like people don't talk about that too. You know what I'm saying? Franchise, you
Hmm.
got to develop star players. These players are young, they're 19 years old. So I just
Yeah,
think the pair of Rui and Denny back to back, those are two great picks. Like two great picks. I was high on the Rui pick, but until we started covering him in person, and I started to see more of Rui, I became really high on the Rui pick. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I fell in love with Rui, man.
yeah, I really like him as a stretch four. Like he's gonna do work in this league.
I think he's gonna be
And
really good. I think I think he has like peak, maybe like bottom level all star potential. But like even if he doesn't, like if he just becomes a solid four, I'll take it. Solid four that's gonna stretch and play consistently, like a 16-8 type of guy. I'll take it, man. We came up on a 9 pick.
absolutely, yeah. So like despite, some of the Wizards shortcomings in terms of adding talent around their stars, I think they're doing a much better job recently. I think this was a despite a heartbreaking trade, it was a good trade. I mean, what up, Trey? You got any final thoughts on the trade?
My final thoughts on the trade is, like as you said, it was heartbreaking, but I kind of look at what what I expected a healthy John Wall to be, and to be completely honest with you, a healthy John Wall at his best is Westbrook. So I guess I can't really be but so mad. And like we always say, Westbrook is my favorite guy in the league to watch, man. Like there will be no Westbrook slander on my watch. But it's been tough to watch him over the last couple playoffs with some of the ways that he's went out. So that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth with Russell Westbrook. And he's just slandered every offseason on the gram. But it's a new year. And I don't really expect championship aspirations for my team, but I do expect my team to be very good. I think Russell Westbrook is going to bring a lot of a lot of new life to the city, a lot of new eyes. People love Russell Westbrook, former MVP, so people gonna follow him wherever we go. We'll get more money, not more money. We'll get more fans, viewership, and it'll be interesting and it'll be fun to watch. I love Russell Westbrook, and it'd be cool to have a Russell Westbrook jersey. And I wish John Wall but the best. It's gonna hurt.
I think I'm losing you now. Your band your network bandwidth is low. All right. So Trey is stuck in the time vortex right now, but that'll pretty much do it for our trade discussion. He's over here riding through Lovecraft country right now. But that's it. It's a win-win is the verdict here at Black Men in America. We're gonna hold out hope and see where it goes from there. Best wishes, much love to John Wall on his next step. DC loves you. We appreciate all the hard work you put in for the Wizards organization and for the city. And welcome Russell Westbrook to DC. It's going to be exciting. Him and Bradley Beal are going to be an exciting duo. Definitely should take the Wizards deep into the playoffs. They could be a problem. So let's see what happens. I'm optimistic. I think this was a good deal for both teams.